First of all, just want to thank everyone for joining us, and on behalf of NCs, we want to send our best wishes as we're slowly in Halifax and Nova Scotia, anyways, starting to come out of starting to move into the recovery phase, I guess, of the pandemic and getting things going. So we're excited to see your businesses are opening if you were shut down, and as hopefully we will be soon as well. So as I said, Mike is a second-year head coach with the Thunderbirds, second-year head coach in his career as well, a long-time NLL player. Luke entering his sixth season and is a French teacher and coach at the Hill Academy in Ontario, and we're going to get to some of that as well. So first, I should say, just a housekeeping, there is a function for you to ask questions. So I encourage you in the Q&A box to ask some questions. We're going to have some time set aside at the end. Hopefully get to some questions if you guys have anything for the guys. So let's go beyond the boards. So first off, Mike, let's start with you. Where are you right now? It's a nice sunny day. You're outside with some good Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I just sitting on my back patio. I got a covered patio out back here, so just sitting out and enjoying the nice weather finally.
Yeah.
You know, it's been a lot of days inside, so to get some nice weather, it's nice to be outside. So.
And you're in St. Catharines, and you're looks like you're representing the East Coast lifestyle as well while you're at it.
Yeah, just you know, showing off my swag. I like love the brand. So yeah, I miss the East Coast, that's for sure.
Good. And Luke, how about you? Where are you at? And talk to us about the map a little bit.
Yeah, I'm just at my house in Vaughan, Ontario, just north of Toronto. Yeah, that's my good old map right there. My little background. But no, nice day here as well, and yeah, excited to be here, and yeah,
great. So I first want to dive into what it was like when you found out the team was coming to Halifax. So Mike, let's start with you. As a coach too, and you were coaching at the time, where were you when you found out? How did you find out about it? What were your initial thoughts? All of those things.
Well, last year when we were in Rochester, you know, having conversations with Kurt, the owner and general manager, he had kind of alluded to the fact that this was going to be the last year in Rochester and that we'd be moving to Halifax. So we knew pretty early last season that we were going to be coming out to Halifax in the fall and starting up our new organization there. So, you know, obviously you got to get comfortable. You know, we knew Rochester. We'd been there a long time. And then, you know, it's that unknown of coming to a place where really it's not a massive lacrosse hotbed, but it's a great sports town. It's very passionate people, and the city of Halifax, you know, is such a beautiful city. I think everybody was excited about the challenges that we're about to partake with, but it also excited for the new opportunity that we had in the city of Halifax and province of Nova Scotia. And, you know, I can tell you it was an unreal experience being in Halifax this year.
Well, we'll get to that. Don't worry. But you said you were in Rochester for a long time, and you especially as a player and a coach, Mike. How many years did you spend there in Rochester? Do you know?
I don't know. I've kind of floated around. I spent the majority of my playing career in Buffalo and Rochester. Mm-hmm. Won 3 championships with them as a player. And then I moved into more of an administrative role for a few years, and then I hopped on as an assistant coach for a couple of years. And actually, when we moved to Halifax, that's when I became the head coach. So this was my first year as a head coach in this league. You know, I've been an assistant coach for a couple of years, but again, a huge opportunity for me. So going to Halifax had a lot of good things.
Yeah, Luke, what was it like as a player, knowing? Because I also take it you knew, like, the announcement came out that I was relocating to Halifax before that last season in Rochester. What was it like from a player's perspective?
Yeah, I mean, starting off in Rochester that year, and then we found out that we were moving. That was just a tough year. I think just to be playing, and tough year for the fans, a little awkward in ways, but and then there's a little bit unknown too with what's, you know, how are we going to be accepted in a sense in Halifax. And I don't want to speak on behalf of the team, but I would say the majority, if not everyone, was, especially veterans. It was, a little bit of feel like we're reborn a little bit. And there was the excitement. Like I was, for our purple and orange game, our exhibition game there, I was nervous. Like you don't get that kind of type of nerves, probably from your rookie year. And I just remember Jammer, our captain, Cody Jamieson, were lining up and we're beside each other on the face-off, and like we're both just like shaking, like kind of had the goosebumps going a little bit, and that's when you could tell right away too. But I think it helped as well. Like we have a really tight team. Obviously, great leadership with Coach Accursi and the rest of our staff, and I think that's a big key to our success overall. But the warm welcome that we had in Halifax was pretty awesome. I mean, we're always, we're half the team is calling in to the harbor front, ordering, seafood chowder when we land, getting in every night. And I don't know if that's like the best day before, like you should be eating that, but guys are getting like, a couple bowls of soup before bed. And, that's like what we're pumped about. It's what your little things that you're looking forward to.
Well, I was going to ask this, but maybe there's a way where we as a community could better serve the Thunderbirds in that sense. You think of like teams traveling to Vegas, what that experience is like for road players visiting, and the excitement there. Maybe we could feed them up on lobster and seafood the night before and have them a little flat the next night. But had you been to Halifax before, Luke?
Yeah, I actually I coached in a Junior B Founders. So like the Junior B National Championship was hosted in Halifax a few years ago. So I've been out a few times. I got a family friend that's there, and actually the police chief, Ken Stubing, or not police chief, the firefighting chief for Halifax he was actually my first junior coach when I played out in Manitoba. So a small world, and that's actually where I grew up, was Manitoba. So the Halifax kind of the small town feel to it, it was it's comforting in that sense, and so yeah, beautiful.
All right, Mike. So let's talk about the home opener. Luke, you mentioned the inter-squad game and the nerves. What were your expectations? I know you guys came in on a red carpet, and a lot of that was exciting, and a lot of credit to your business side of the operations. But what was that like for you guys the first night, coaching staff and organization as a whole?
I think everybody was excited. I mean, we knew we were kind of moving there in February, so you have a lot of time to kind of in your head picture what it's going to be like, and I think it exceeded all those expectations. You roll up in a bus that's got a big Thunderbirds logo on it. You got a red carpet, you got a couple hundred people, cheering you on as you're entering the arena. I think that kind of set the stage for the night. I think everybody was so excited about what was to come, and the team that we had, and how hard everybody has worked with Events East, and the staff that we have to put on a good production for the first time in Halifax. So we were all nervous. I think everybody was excited. I think once we won that opening face-off, and Jake Wiz went down and scored 8 seconds in, kind of settled everybody down, and then we kind of like, okay, let's get back to work here. So it was such an outstanding first time in Halifax. The fans were fantastic. I think sometimes they didn't know what they were cheering for. They were just cheering for the excitement that was happening on the floor. And kudos to our players. They brought it every single night that we were there. So it was awesome. It was a great experience.
Yeah, and you kind of touched on it, like the lacrosse community may not be as large as what you're used to, and I think a lot of people were excited and surprised at how exciting it was. And like you said, that first game especially, there was a goal so quickly. I think people were just kind of surprised as to like how much entertainment and excitement is going to happen quickly. But I wanted to ask you, when the Raptors won, if you're basketball fans, the Raptors won the NBA last year, there was a lot of talk about when the franchise initially went to Toronto and what that did for the growth of basketball in Canada. With the team coming here, what are, like, obviously it's to interact and engage people with lacrosse, but what are some of the key things that you guys have seen through your lacrosse lives that can help grow the game here in Nova Scotia? And I'll go to you, Mike.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked to a lot of organizations in Nova Scotia and talked to them about, you know, what impact that we had on them. And they said, you know, some of these organizations, they doubled in the size. And I think at the end of the day, you know, you want kids to be involved in something, and team sports teaches you a lot more than just the lacrosse side of it. It teaches you cooperation. It teaches you patience. It teaches you, you know, how to meet new people and have those experiences. So, you know, being involved in a team sport, I think, is really important for kids, and, you know, see the growth of the sport as a whole. It's something that, you know, Luke and I are both very passionate about. You know, he's key coaches at the younger age and in high school. And, you know, I've done junior and senior and now professional lacrosse. So, you know, something we're really passionate about, and we want to, you know, pass that passion on for the sport, but also for, you know, team sports and growing, and, you know, having kids that are mature and that are, you know, well-rounded. I think team sports do that. So it's good to see the growth definitely in the sport.
Yeah, gotcha. Sorry to cut you off. Luke, what was it like for you as a kid, I guess, starting to play lacrosse? Were there a couple key things or something that you remember that really got you engaged with it, that, you know, that could be a good lesson as we try and aim to grow the game? Anything?
Yeah, that's a good question. I actually didn't start playing until I was in high school. Our gym teacher just gave me a long pole, and I was one of the bigger kids, and just said, stand in the middle and hit guys as they're running through with like zero skill at all. But coach, you know, mentioned that it's so much more than a game. Like lacrosse, you know, it's called the medicine game, and it goes, not even the skill and, you know, the requirements of being able to pass and catch, but the team aspect of it, and, you know, the character and the people you meet along the way. It's, you know, that's really what's important, you know, that I value in it, and what's important. And, you know, coaching at the minor level now, it's, you know, you find yourself, like I find myself for sure, that I'm sure you're teaching skills and whatnot, but you're preaching about being a good teammate and, you know, caring for each other and being a good person. And so, you know, those are the lessons I would say that lacrosse has taught me, is, you know, I think for sure is, you know, trying to be a good teammate, be a good person. And, you know, that's, as a coach in the minor level, that's what I'm trying to pass on to the kids. It's, you know, it's great if you score 100 goals in a season, you know, obviously that's great. But I think having a good character and being a good person is, you know, always first and foremost, probably the most important thing.
Yeah, certainly. I should say, if you're just joining us, I'm Colby Pridham with Events East, joined for Beyond the Boards with Mike Accursi and Luke Magnan. I'm going to go to Mike now for a couple questions for you directly, and also if you have any questions, there's a Q&A option should be on the bottom of your screen. So feel free to throw some questions at the guys, and we'll look to get to them at the end. But actually, before Mike, we go to you, I want to ask Luke, are you familiar with TikTok?
I've seen it. My girlfriend will send me. She loves it, so she's flipping through all the time, and she sends it to me. But I think our coach is probably he's the man to be asking about that.
Okay, so I should say, if you're not familiar with TikTok, it's a social media platform now. It's short videos, lip syncing and dancing, and Coach went viral. So if you haven't seen it, I highly encourage you to just Google his name and TikTok, and you'll find it easily. It was fascinating. Tell us a little bit about the production, Mike.
Well, it kind of actually just came about from my daughters. My daughters dance competitively, and they're always, you know, got their phones set up and doing these TikTok dances, you know, and I would be strolling in the kitchen and I would do some dumb dance move in behind them and they'd laugh. And so one day they said, "Hey, do you want to do a TikTok with us?" And I said, "Sure." So we did it. And then, we went into quarantine and then we said, well, let's make a TikTok for the Thunderbirds. So the first one we did, I wore this shirt, the East Coast Lifestyle shirt. The girls wore a Thunderbird shirt and we did it to Thunderstruck and it was just kind of fun. And so we thought, I sent it to Charlie, who's our media guy. And he's like, "You have to post that on Twitter." So I said, "Okay, we'll throw it up there." So we threw it up, and then overnight we had 8,000 views, and I was like, "Okay, this might be a thing now." So my girls are really excited. So then we just kind of every week we throw out another TikTok, and you had to do something while we were in quarantine, and I think it was just a little bit of fun, something to take your mind off everything. And then we threw some challenges out to a few different people, and it was fun. We're actually planning. We got a really good one coming up, so it'll be out there.
We'll stay tuned. And I should say, if your daughters are competitive dancers, I would say the apple hasn't fallen far from the trees. Nice work on the dancing.
But you don't understand. It takes me several hours to learn these.
I don't mean
10-second dances, so it's not all fun and games. There's a little bit of effort that has to go into it. But.
Well, that's good. Good to challenge yourself.
Yeah.
So I want to spend a little time on becoming a head coach. And obviously there are challenges and differences in being an assistant coach. I think a lot of that is obvious. But talk to us about what that means from a day-to-day perspective in the NLL, especially like how your responsibilities change and how you found the adjustment.
Well, I think as an assistant coach, right, I was the offensive coach. So really, I mean, my perspective and the things that I focused on were really a small portion of the game. I just would focus on the offensive players, and I would look at defenses from other teams and how to break them down, and where their weaknesses were, where their strengths were, and try and game plan to something that we could do offensively to be better. As a head coach here, you're looking at so many more aspects of the game. So, it's not just the offense. So, I have to know the defensive strategy of what we wanted to implement. So sitting down with our defensive coach, Billy D, and what we wanted to do, what was different. Where is this league going? How do we, come up with a defensive strategy that meets not only how the league is going, but what our personnel is. So that was definitely a big change, is learning a lot more of the defensive end. And as an offensive player, I kind of knew, what a lot of defenses do, but to strategize, I think it was a little bit of adjustment. But now you're looking at, the outside stuff. So it's not just the stuff that happens on the floor. It's, dealing with, our equipment guy, Dave Stout, dealing with our trainers and our fitness guys, and, making sure that we're all kind of on the same page. So it really was a lot more work than I kind of expected it to be. But again, it's something I'm super passionate about. I love the sport. The guys made it that transition from assistant coach to head coach very easy. When you got leaders like Luke and Graham Hossick and Cody Jamieson, those guys, you lean on those guys to help you through those times when, maybe you need a little bit of support from them. And, they were outstanding for me.
Mm-hmm. So the Halifax Mooseheads general manager, Cam Russell used to be a coach there, and he would say, "You're never as good as you think you are, or you're never as bad as you think you are." Mm-hmm. Would you say the hot start that you guys had at the beginning of the year was a good reflection of how good your team was last year?
Yeah, I think so. I think that, obviously in any season, you're going to have highs and lows. I mean, we came out with a good start, but I think that started, the start that we had in December started in October. And I think that was the effort that our guys brought into, and I think it's the excitement of the move, but also the rejuvenation that Luke spoke to earlier, that these players came in with a much different attitude than they have in the past. The expectations that I put on them were very high from a fitness standpoint and from an effort standpoint. And I think we just kind of came out of the gates really strong. And I think that kind of was just more the effort that the players put into our practices in our training camp. They push themselves harder than I think most of those guys have pushed in several years. And, we came out of the gate hard. And then, teams start to figure out, how to beat you. So you kind of go through that little lull that we went through, or we were, struggling. We were never out of games, but we were struggling to win games. And then we started kind of figuring out exactly where we needed to improve, areas that we needed to be better at, and areas that we felt we were strong at. So we kind of started to adjust our game to what our strengths and needs were. So I think we put ourselves in a really good position to be competing for, or would have been competing for, a Champions Cup this year.
That's all you can ask for.
Yeah.
So I want to go to Luke, but give you a chance, Mike, to take a shot at him. I'm just wondering, in your long career as a forward, if you were coming down one-on-one on Luke, would your eyes light up? Would you be excited to take him on? Like,
it's funny because Luke and I, we do it a little bit in practice. He always looks at me and goes, "I would have just carved you up, made a mess of you," and I just said, "I would have just eaten you for breakfast." So, Luke's a great athlete. He's a fantastic defenseman in this league, but I definitely would have shown him a few things.
Of course. Maybe we'll have another series inside the boards, and we'll do a little video shoot of you guys playing one-on-one.
I better start working out again then, Luke?
Maybe a 50-yard dash, or just a 20-yard dash, so we don't pull any hammies. But
yeah, exactly.
No, that probably started when you were an assistant, just going back and forth. And I'm always trying to get on the power play, and I'm always looking at the lineup, like as we're suiting up, and just hoping that I'm on. Usually I have power 1, power 2, and I'm self-proclaimed power 3 just in case. But yeah.
You're the backup to the backup to the backup.
Yeah.
Well, it's a good segue. Luke, I wanted to ask you, how has the off-season training been going, considering the restrictions and the lockdown in parts? How do you feel your training is progressing as it relates to a normal season?
Yeah, I mean, it's, in a way, it hasn't changed much. We're all the players have, daytime jobs, and that's the way the league is right now. And you got to find a way to get in the gym and stay in shape. And, we were uncertain whether we were going to have a season and whatnot. So we're, we obviously have our group chats and stuff, and our strength coach sending us workouts. So we're, maintaining those. Obviously now I've taken a bit of a break, which has been nice, and a step back. And, I'm going to be going back home to Manitoba, and I'll get back into the swing of it. But yeah, like Coach Accursi was saying, there's, a big emphasis this year with us as a team. One, just fitness level and compete, so that's made it fun. And if you're not in shape, you're going to be in trouble, come training camp or even in practice. Coach likes the down and back. So, there's plenty of times where I was struggling in the back and, just getting through it. But at the same time, that's, that accountability, I think, has made us a good team. And, for me personally, a better player. And, a guy like Graham Hossack, who's already just a freak of an athlete, an absolute beast, with a real off season that he's going to have now, is going to be pretty scary. So, yeah. You
mentioned the way the league is right now, and having people having other jobs as well. So you're a teacher, a French teacher at the Hill Academy. Talk to us a little bit about that. So how you balance that, and not only that, but your coaching duties, which I'm going to ask you about, but for your teaching, and tell us about the school and what that's like.
Yeah, so I love it. I love being in the classroom and coaching. I think teaching and coaching goes hand in hand. I love that. I love that interaction with the students and the players, and those relationships that you build. And so, a typical day, I'm getting up. We have practice in the morning, high school practice, lacrosse practice. And then, I have about 4 classes or whatnot in the day. And So I'm teaching, and it's either maybe it's a workout at lunch or after school. I'm staying at school working out in the gym, and then yeah, we typically have a practice once a week where we're Wednesday nights where we get together. So those practices, like I was alluding to earlier, probably count as 3 workouts of coach putting us through the ringer there. But yeah, I enjoy it. That's teaching is definitely my passion, and I love it. So
we're getting close to 12:30, and I'd like to, in lieu of people's time, keep it around there. We do have a couple questions coming in from the audience, so I want to get to them. But quickly, Luke, I just want to ask, as a coach, so you're coaching Canada Games team for Manitoba in 2021. Do you look as a player at Mike's path as a player and a coach and think that's something that's on your mind, or do you more so are you focused on your playing right now?
Yeah, I wouldn't be jumping too far ahead. Hopefully I can maintain a long career, but at the same time, there's players, coming in, and there's a lot of up and coming talent. But I think the mindset I've always had going into every season is, kind of being like a rookie, and you're coming in, someone's trying to take your job, and I'm trying to keep my job, and I want to stay on the top of your game as possible. But in terms of the coaching, yeah, I'm super excited for the Canada Games, coaching with Team Manitoba. I played in nationals with Team Manitoba as a player, and so being able to coach with that, and giving us a chance to compete with the provinces of Ontario, BC, and Alberta are probably the powerhouses, and obviously competing against Nova Scotia, that'll be fun too with that. But I think a great thing that I always take from coach is I think the emphasis, I've said it a few times already, but it's what I believe in, and is the relationships you have with your players. And I think Coach Accursi does a really good job. He has great relationships with guys on the team, and I think when you as a coach, when you can empower your players and put that trust in players, and I think you're just going to work harder for your coach, right? When when that your coach believes in you and believes in your team, you want to do well for them, right? You don't want to you don't want to let them down. So I think that's what I take from Coach Accursi is that the biggest thing there. And so when I'm on the floor, it's like I don't want to let Accursi or Billy B down, right? I don't want to let my team down, because there's such a great bond there. So that's we're getting Zoom practices and Zoom calls going with Team Manitoba, taking that in and doing that now, and that's probably my takeaway.
We'll take one question from the audience, and let's see if you can keep it to a word or two. How excited are you to get back to Halifax? So what are you most looking forward to coming back to Halifax, Mike?
In one word?
Yeah, you gotta keep it tight.
Excitement. I love the city of Halifax. It's a beautiful city. The food's amazing that Luke alluded to earlier. I'm a big seafood guy, so I can't go wrong anywhere that I eat. But and also the excitement of being back with my team and being back with the guys. And it's like Luke said, it's a brotherhood. We become very, very tight as a group, and you miss them. They're your friends and your family, and they're your brothers, and they're the ones that you really spend a lot of time with in airports and practices and games and pregame and all that. So I miss that group of guys, and I miss my players and the rest of my staff, and I'm excited to be back.
Well, that was a lot. I'm happy to hear. Luke, how about yourself? You're most excited for?
I think Coach, said it well. Excited to be back. The seafood, calling in, getting the seafood chowder, and just being around the team, around the team, and that excitement too of being on the floor with some great fans. That was a highlight for sure. So
great. Well, thanks a lot, guys. Again, I'm Colby Pridham with Events East Group. We're joined Beyond the Boards with Mike Accursi and Luke Magnan. Thanks a lot, guys. Enjoy the rest of your days and weekends, and we look forward to seeing you back here in the late fall and for the start of your season.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys.